Let's roll, baby. Welcome in. It is a Monday East Coast bias right here on the Ringer Gambling Show, of course, on the FanDuel Sports Network. Let's welcome in the triple threat after a fantastic slate of football this Thanksgiving. John Jastremski here in New York, Joe House in Washington, D.C. Let's get it right today, Raheem Palmer, in the city of brotherly love. We have a lot to break down. The playoff race is chaotic. The Super Bowl odds boards off the rails as far as so many teams being in the hunt, so many teams being in the mix. Let's start here, Joe House. I think the consensus a week ago, the Los Angeles Rams are the clear-cut best team that the NFL has to offer. That was your takeaway. That was your narrative. I don't know if I'm moving off of that position, but I think it kind of speaks volumes to where we are in 2025. We're a team that is a 10.5-point favorite, goes on the road to Carolina, a team coming off a short week, playing on Monday Night Football, and the Carolina Panthers go and win the game outright. I mean, is that 2025 in a nutshell or what?
It really is, and we feels like we've had a half dozen of these where as soon as we get our arms around a team, it just disappoints us. There's crushing disappointment. With the notable exception, perhaps, of the Seattle Seahawks, who I probably just jinxed. But, across the board, I honestly thought there was a decent conversation to be had around the Eagles as potentially the best team in the NFL. But we watched what happened on Friday, the way they got bullied on the defensive line there, and the way that the Chicago Bears just ran the ball down their throat. This Rams team is still fine. The one vulnerability is that deep ball. You got to give it up to Carolina. 2 fourth-down touchdowns on passes that were absolute dimes by Bryce Young. You got to tip your hat. They went for it. They played big boy football with nothing to lose. They were 3 for 3 on fourth down. Like I said, 2 touchdowns on fourth down. And so, kudos to the Panthers for rewriting their narrative. And to Dream's great enjoyment, very live for the NFC South division.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that game. It was kind of shocking for me because, ultimately, when you look at the box score, it just felt like offensively, the Rams kind of got whatever they wanted. They had a 61% success rate and a 76% rushing success rate and a 50% passing success rate. So the offense, they really kind of got whatever they wanted. But obviously, Matthew Stafford, he throws a pick six, and then ultimately the defense kind of lets him down. And for whatever reason, this Carolina Panthers team, they've been like Jekyll and Hyde all season long. One game they're dominant, the next day they look like they don't know how to play football. So you look at the NFC South as a whole, and obviously it's wide open because you have the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They play each other twice down the stretch. So now you're looking at the Carolina Panthers at plus 460 to win the division, and hopefully they bring it home. Now, the team I want to talk about is the Chicago Bears because they are in first place in the NFC, and they take on the Green Bay Packers this week, and to me, that's going to be the game of the week.
The Ringer Gambling Show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same-game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your parlay. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Well, you mentioned game of the week. My goodness, Raheem. You could go with Bears, Packers. You could go with Bengals, Bills. You could go to the Chiefs, who are hosting the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Bills, Bengals. The slate is off the rails, which we will get to looking ahead to the Sunday card. Dream, I don't want to bury the wise wager lead, though, that you had on the Ringer Sunday pregame because you were all over the Houston Texans. I was right there with you. This race now in the AFC South has gotten super tight, has gotten super fascinating. Indianapolis has a brutal schedule down the stretch. Sauce Gardner hurts his calf. Daniel Jones is clearly compromised dealing with this leg issue. Jacksonville, it's ugly. I don't know how they keep doing it, but they keep winning themselves ball games. Then you have the Texans, who probably have the best unit out of any of these teams that you would look at within the AFC South with what their defense can do on a weekly basis. How do we handicap? How do we break down the AFC South, Dream, going down the stretch?
So it's interesting. You got the Jaguars playing the Colts this week. And I got to remind everybody, even though the Colts are favorite, the Colts haven't beaten Jacksonville in Jacksonville since 2014. Like, you're talking like 9, 10, 11 straight games in which the Jaguars has won. So the Colts are favored this week, and there's probably going to be a lot of sharp money on the Colts, but I'm not necessarily buying it. I just can't, like, for whatever reason, the NFL has these weird trends where certain teams just don't win in certain environments. And if you look at the Colts, I mentioned it yesterday, they're trending downwards. Daniel Jones has not been the same quarterback over the last month. And now that he has this injury, it really puts them in a bad spot. So I think you almost could be looking at the Colts as a team that could potentially miss the postseason at this point in time.
Yeah, to that point, we were talking about this Colts team and looking at the gauntlet down the stretch that really started with this Houston game yesterday, and looking in the missed the playoff market just because of recognizing Houston still kind of finding itself and Jacksonville just collecting wins once again. The possibility for the Colts of missing altogether, it was plus 730 a couple weeks ago. It's all the way down into like plus 250 range, plus 230 range now. So and there is no certainty at all. Like, if you look at the schedules for Houston, Jacksonville, and the Colts, Jacksonville has the easiest schedule on paper because they still have the Jets and the Titans remaining on their schedule. But who trusts Jacksonville to beat anybody? I mean, they did handle their business. It was an impressive performance yesterday against the Titans. The Titans tightened. They went up 3-0, and we thought, hey, look at this. This might be something. No. There's still the car wreck, burning car, Callahan Titans in effect. But I don't know what to do with this AFC South. My gut would be Houston, but man, that schedule is brutal.
Yeah, and if you look at the odds boards, the schedule indicates exactly that, House, because the Colts are plus 125 to go and win the division. Jacksonville, with that soft schedule you alluded to, plus 145. And that dangerous Houston team that got a monstrous had-to-have victory at Indy on Sunday, plus 350, and they have a monstrous game coming up with the Kansas City Chiefs. So there's a whole lot of uncertainty in the AFC South. Now, Joe House, we talked about this 24 hours ago. I am out on this Baltimore Ravens team. But then I watched the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are playing without 2 starting tackles, and the Steelers are the definition of a hot mess. Aaron Rodgers looks like a 40-year-old quarterback. He's yelling and screaming at his wide receivers. The Steeler defense that has been a massive disappointment all year continued to be a massive disappointment. And now the stage is set for the Steelers going into Baltimore. Baltimore is going to be laying basically around 6.5, and all of the signs are pointing to the end of the road for Aaron Rodgers, the possible end of the road for Mike Tomlin with the dissatisfaction that's going on with the Steelers and within the fan base. Here's what I want to throw at you, amigo. The Cincinnati Bengals, and we'll get to this when we do our look-ahead lines a little bit later on in this pod, in this television show. They are a 6-point underdog in Buffalo this week. I would argue, Joe House, if indeed the Bengals, despite all of their problems, despite all of their issues on defense that are well documented, can go and beat Buffalo on Sunday, I think they are beyond live to go and run the table, and they are beyond live to, dare I say, snake the AFC North. Am I crazy to be sipping the Joe Burrow is back Kool-Aid, House? Because you know I want to be sipping that Kool-Aid, big boy.
I feel like this Cincinnati team is going to end up exactly in the same place they ended up last year, which is making a run at the end, finally getting it together on defense and staring with their nose pressed against the glass at the playoff window, saying, oh, if only we hadn't, thrown away a couple of those wins that Joe Flacco had them right, in position to grab, but their defense just couldn't get them across the goal line. That division is a disaster. The only intrigue left with Pittsburgh is whether they'll get to 9 wins. This may yet be the season when they don't get there. And, this division is lining up where it feels to me like 8-9 or 9-8 is going to win the division. And I think that the Ravens will end up with a tiebreaker over Pittsburgh because I think they're going to beat Pittsburgh both times.
This might be the time where you say to yourself, maybe you buy in on the Baltimore Ravens. I know they look ugly. I know they look dead. But ultimately, you look at the AFC, and it's anyone's game. And ultimately, it feels like the Bengals are just too far behind to be able to catch up. Because, one more loss pretty much takes them out of this. So it's ultimately between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens on who's going to win this division. And I think if Lamar Jackson could get healthy, I don't know what he has to do, but this is still a team that can win the AFC. You look at the AFC, it's pretty much wide open. You look at the best team in the AFC per record, it's the Denver Broncos, and none of us trust them. None of us truly trust them. So I kind of look at this Ravens team as a team that we're burying, but I don't want to say they're dead yet.
I understand that with the wide open nature of the AFC, and you're right. At the moment, you would have a whole lot of uncertainty as your 1 and your 2 seed, which is New England getting back to the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years. There are holes on their roster. We're going to get to that a little bit later on when we break down this Monday Night Football game. And then, of course, the Denver team, that house we faded on Sunday night. And as a parting thought to Week 13, amigo, that game maybe took about 5 years off of my life from a wagering perspective. Forget about a fan's perspective. If you had the Commanders like I did plus the 6, and you're watching that final drive in regulation, House, I'm praying, please get a stop in the game or score a touchdown and win outright. We get the worst case scenario with the game going to overtime. Then it's a double whammy where Denver gets the ball first and scores a touchdown. But thankfully, Joe House, your boy Marcus Mariota wanted to take care of us. Thank you, Marcus.
Well, the hilarious thing is that Washington won the coin flip and elected to give Denver the ball first. And in view of, what the Washington defense had shown and the way that Washington's offense had gone down the field against that Denver defense and had them on the field for all those plays, I understand game theory wise and strategy wise why you want the ball second, because then you know what you need to do to win the football game. But man, we're giving the ball to Denver. We dare you to score a touchdown. Okay, we'll go right down the field and score a touchdown. Oh, darn. Now what are we going to do? Well, we got to go score a touchdown and 2 points. You got to give it up, man. That Washington offense and Mariota were up to the challenge. They really showed heart against that Denver defense, and they were not afraid to try and run the ball. They established the run. It was that sort of 3-level offense on Washington that was reminiscent of last season, where you had a mobile quarterback who could get out and run when necessary. They had a great short game in effect with Zach Ertz was back there. Jeremy McNichol was catching balls. I tip my hat to Washington. I lost because I had the unders in that game. I thought Washington was live to win that game outright, and I said so on the Sunday pregame show and other shows. But I only played the under. The under was dead as soon as they got to overtime. There was no chance that it was going to stay at under 43.5.
Unfortunate dead on arrival, but a cover nonetheless for Mr. Mariota and the lowly Commanders. We got a lot more coming your way in this loaded East Coast bias on the Ringer Gambling Show. Monday Night Football, Jackson Dart's return. Are the Giants live? Or are we going to be united? We'll come right back. The Ringer Gambling Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, Missouri, the wait is finally over. FanDuel Sportsbook is live in the Show Me State. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose. Plus, this week only, every customer gets a no-sweat bet every day. So even if your bet doesn't hit, you'll get bonus bets back to keep the action going. So download FanDuel today or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers and join the excitement. Because FanDuel, it's time to play your game with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Missouri. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. For new customer offer, first online real money wager only, $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. For all customer offer, opt-in required each day. Refund issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $20. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. The East Coast Bias Boys rocking and rolling. We now get you ready for Monday Night Football. The New York Giants will welcome back rookie standout Jackson Dart. Dart will make his return to Gillette Stadium to take on the feel-good story, potentially in the AFC. Mike Vrabel, Drake May, and the New England Patriots. You have the Patriots laying 7 and a hook on the FanDuel Sportsbook. And I have a feeling we are going to have some East Coast bias, family unity when it comes to this particular game. Joe House, I love the New York Giants getting 7 and a hook against the New England Patriots. We know this when it comes to the Giants. They've been in every single game imaginable. We saw it last week against Detroit. We've seen it in Denver. I can give you the laundry list of games the Giants have yucked up in the fourth quarter, right? Jackson Dart should be able to move the ball against this New England defense. New England struggled last week in Cincinnati, and now we're looking at offensive line issues where that Giant defense has been exposed as far as being able to run on them. But now, no Will Campbell. The center is questionable with an illness. To me, House, all of the signs point to Giants making this a competitive, spirited, down-to-the-wire Monday Night Football game. And I absolutely adore the Giants plus the 7.5. And I know that I have you on board.
Yeah, you do. We're in lockstep on this one because not only do you have the endorsement of myself, but you have the endorsement of Bill Simmons, notorious New England backer. When we looked at this game last week as a potential candidate for the Ringer 107, he was very sober about the impact on New England's offense with this injury to the injuries plural on the offensive line. And we agreed to take the New York Giants, getting the 7.5 here. We do recognize, everybody recognizes the Giants continue to play hard. There is no tank in this Giants team. And, you know, the interesting thing will be how much pressure they're able to get because they don't have to worry about the run in the way that you know they've been vulnerable against other teams. The New England Patriots established the run by way of explosives. They get outside. That has not been the thing that the Giants, their number one kind of vulnerability, and their ability to get some pressure on Drake May really makes this, to me, it's a 50-50 game. I like the Giants on the money line as well here.
Wow, frisky, Raheem. Can I make it 3 for 3 on the Giants plus the points?
Oh, without a doubt. You guys know on the Sunday NFL pregame show, I actually have this as my man's best bet. I love the Giants on the money line. I also love them plus 7.5. I mean, you guys mentioned the offensive line injuries. Will Campbell, Jarrett Wilson, both out for this contest. But they're also missing a defensive tackle in Milton Williams. And they're also missing Tonga as well, which is a key piece in stopping the run. But I think you guys nailed it. When you look at this Giants defense, obviously they're worse in the league. They give up 157 yards per game, but the Patriots can't run the ball. So if the Giants can just, they don't have to sell out to stop the run because the Patriots aren't a good run defense. They just have to be able to get some pressure on Drake May, who was missing 2 of his tackles. So that puts the Patriots in a bad spot. And then I look at the Patriots over the last 4 weeks. It just feels like they've been playing with their food. You go back to that game against Atlanta, 24-23. You go back against the game against the Bucs, 28-23. You go back against last week against the Bengals. The Bengals were driving with a chance to win the game down 26-20. So it just feels like this Giants team, we know that they're going to be in every single game. You look at games in which they've had a lead in the second half. They're just 2-5 in those games. So you can expect the Giants to be in this game, and eventually, at some point in time, the coin has to flip the other way. So they get a little bit of luck. They are able to win this game outright, but I think they stay inside the number easily.
East Coast bias, family unity. I absolutely love it. Now, Dream, any interest in a total that currently sits at 46.5?
I don't have any interest in the total at this point in time. I think the best bet is obviously just the Giants plus 7.5, and then obviously the money line. I think obviously when you have some offensive line issues, that puts a damper on the things. But if I had to lean any direction, I'm guessing I would probably go over, but I don't have anything on this.
How? So you're playing the total?
No, I'm not either. You have to really be careful with totals with New England because of their explosive pass ability, and Pop Douglas might have a day here. He is one of the explosive options for New England, and I want to just go ahead and put my respect on Drake May's name. I mean, he has the ability to single-handedly deliver a W for this team. So and it will be explosives to the receivers. So I'm not messing with the total.
Gentlemen, I have 2 anytime touchdown bets for you on this fine morning, and it will be a very fine evening when both of these hopefully come home to roost. Jackson Dart is returning, and to me, this number is mispriced because I think the books are looking at his return from a concussion and they're saying to themselves, oh, he's not going to run as much. That may be true, but the Giants don't have much of a run game. If they get inside the 10-yard line, that is where Jackson Dart is going to look to make things happen. So I saw the number. My eyes exploded. I want to make sure I get it right. Plus 290. We're going to roll the dice with Jackson Dart. Has been a touchdown machine all season to go and find pay dirt. And the Giant defense has struggled mightily when it comes to guarding the tight end. So Hunter Henry, who is a 2-to-1 touchdown price, sign me up right now. Hunter Henry, Jackson Dart. I'm giving you one for each team. Anytime touchdowns. Fellas, any other plays, Raheem, that you have for this game? We have the side, we have the total. Are there any props that stand out?
I got nothing else on this game. I like the plus 7.5. I like the money line, so I'm sticking with that.
That's it, House. We're keeping it simple. We don't need to get exotic for this game. We're all united. We're all together. Who needs extra player props? We got the Giants covered at 7.5. Let's go home.
Well, there is a great price. I did get a chance to catch my guy Brandon Anderson this morning. There's an amazing price on Abdul Carter to get half a sack. Thibodeau is out, and with those injuries, look at Abdul Carter's pressure rate. It should he has half a sack on the entire season, which is insane. But his pressure rate suggests something comparable to at least a handful, half dozen of sacks potentially. So Abdul Carter to get half a sack, there's a great price out there. That would be one direction. I just tip my hat to Mr. Anderson.
I'd be careful with that one, House. I understand the logic. Whole lot of pressure, a high pressure rate.
You get a great return on it. That's all. You don't have to spend a lot of money.
What's the number, by the way?
It's over 2-to-1.
All right, so that makes me feel a little better. The only thing is Abdul Carter's been in the backfield all year and he can't finish a play. So regardless of Kayvon Thibodeau being out, you eventually have to finish a play, right? Like those pressures are great. You need to actually hit the quarterback and get a sack,
Understood.
That'd be nice.
You're just looking for a little bit of a dart out there.
Hey, I will be thinking of you if Abdul Carter sacks Drake May in this game, and I will give you and Mr. Anderson a big fat round of applause. We got a lot more coming your way in this loaded East Coast bias on the Ringer Gambling Show. The pick we can't wait to make for Week 14, and the pick we want back for Week 13. That's coming up next. It's the Ringer Gambling Show with the East Coast Bias Boys, of course, on the FanDuel Sports Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Jastremski, Joe House, and Raheem Palmer. And as far as a regret for Week 13, House, there's a very simple regret for me. All week, Raheem Palmer knows this because we are Ringer 107 teammates. We both adored the Houston Texans, and I knew Raheem was going to go with it for his wise wager on the show. And I had it as a possibility for man's best bet. Now, you and I are in a battle. You have a slight lead. So I saw you were swinging for the fences because I knew you guys were on the Browns. I said, House is going to take the Browns. I have a funny feeling he's going to take the Browns this week. I decided to bypass the Houston Texans outright. And you know what I decided to do, House? I took the Tennessee Titans, and I broke my rule. I don't care if they covered 3 games in a row. From an outright win perspective, I allowed myself, John Jastremski, to break his own rule. Friends don't let friends bet the Tennessee Titans. So shame on me, House.
I'm sorry. I actually kind of like the Titans in that spot, but boy, oh boy, did they Titan. I have a favor to ask you guys. The next time that you hear me try and make the case for a team based on what the anticipated weather is going to be, not only tell me no, hire somebody to come over here and punch me in the face.
Done.
Because
okay, I'm making a note of that. Done. Writing it down.
This nonsense about, this weather in Cleveland, the 50-mile-an-hour winds, Brock Purdy can't possibly. They turned the game on. They're like, oh, look at this. It's just a cold day in Cleveland. Everybody's going up and down the field. That is only half the handicap that I'm disappointed by with the stupid Cleveland Browns. It's on me. I thought that, you know, the you have to play a clean game against a decent team like San Francisco. Their special teams is hot trash. And you know, their offensive play calling still, you know, they're trying to baby Shador. And so they had no chance, even against a poverty defense like San Francisco, of moving the ball. They tried to go for it inappropriately on a couple of fourth downs with dumb play calls. You know, they fumbled out of the Wildcat. San Francisco had the ball starting possessions 5 different times on the Cleveland side of the field. Guess what? They won. They handled they won by margin. Cleveland, you know, here's the silver platter. Would you like to beat us today? Yes, we would, and that was it. So I have a little bit of regret around that, but please, let's not even talk about the weather. We could talk about it when we see it snowing during a football game.
I'll bring that up to you when we're going through the card next Sunday. There's some treacherous northeast weather. House, it doesn't matter. Make the bet you're going to make. Leave it at that. Dream, you hit the wise wager, so we know that was a winner. If there's a regret from Thursday to beyond now, is there one from Week 13?
It's by far the Baltimore Ravens. I looked at the Baltimore Ravens, and I thought this was kind of like a smash spot for them. Obviously, they didn't play well against the Jets. Obviously, Lamar Jackson hasn't looked well, but when coming into this game, Thursday Night Football, it just felt like for me that Joe Burrow might be a little bit rusty. And one thing we know about the Cincinnati Bengals is that their defense is trash. Well, they put up their best defensive performance of the year. And a lot of it was Baltimore beating themselves. They had 5 turnovers. I just didn't expect that. Like, if you would have told me that on Thanksgiving night, the Baltimore Ravens would only score 14 points against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, I would have told you were crazy. So I thought this was a spot where the Ravens should be able to get right. And unfortunately, it was never a game at any point. So fortunately for me and fortunately for you guys, we didn't do a show on Thursday, so I couldn't give this out to you guys. But that is one that I definitely put in my personal contest. And then I was fortunate because in game I was able to get some Bengals at some good numbers when I saw it going astray. But I'm really mad about that Bengals.
See, everything works out for a reason. Now, I like Cincinnati in that spot, Dream. I thought they would absolutely cover the 7. But to your point on Baltimore's offense, considering the opponent, considering the defense they were going up against, I thought it was going to be a 35-31 type of game. That was not the case because Baltimore's offense totally inept. Now, on that note, Baltimore is going to be playing one of the monstrous games that we have on the Week 14 card. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying this. I think it's the best Sunday of NFL football we are going to have all year. I mean, it starts Thursday with Raheem's Cowboys taking on the Lions. Then I can go through the monstrous matchups that we have. I mean, I could list the laundry across the board, whether it's Buffalo, Cincinnati, it's Baltimore and Pittsburgh, it's Houston and Kansas City, it's the Bears and the Packers. It's an amazing card. So, Raheem, on that note, the Week 14 bet you can't wait to make. What's it going to be?
All right, so I got a couple of these. Obviously, on Thursday, we got the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is a de facto elimination game for the Cowboys and the Lions. The Cowboys are trending much higher than the Lions at this point in time. The Lions' offensive line isn't the same, and you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's banged up. You just look at this defense. It's super leaky, so I like the Cowboys +3. In addition, we're going with the Houston Texans +3.5. This is bet down from +4.5 to +3.5. I don't really like this line at all. I mean, look, a lot of people are going to say, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs, they need to win this game. They needed to win last week. They needed to win the week before. Well, if you take the names off the jerseys and you just don't look at the priors and all the things that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have done in the past, you're looking at this line, and I think it's pretty ludicrous. I mean, look, a couple weeks ago, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're laying 3.5 to the Denver Broncos. Well, I think the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans are pretty much equal. I mean, you saw it in the game that they play. If C.J. Stroud doesn't get hurt, the Texans probably win that game. And more importantly, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They got some offensive line guys out. I mean, they're all banged up. Josh Simmons, he broke his wrist. Jawan Taylor, he has an ankle injury. Trey Smith, he's banged up. So the offensive line is a mess, and now you got to go up against Will Anderson. I think the 3.5 with the Texans is good. It's ugly. It's an easier click than it is for me than it should seem like. I know a lot of people are going to be on the Chiefs, but my model actually makes this Texans +2. So you give me the 3 and the hook, I'm taking it. In addition, I'm also going to go with the Bears Packers under 45.5 and the Eagles Chargers under 41.5.
A lot of juicy plays, House. What do you got for me, buddy boy?
Yeah, so far, I don't have any sides. I just have a couple of totals that caught my eye, and Dream just mentioning that Bears Packers. That's one that I didn't have on my card, but you're going to see all week long. You're going to hear us talk about on our various shows. At this point in the season, these divisional games, these are all under games. You'll see a lot of good trends that support these teams. At this stage of the season with what's at stake, playing much more conservative football. The weather starts playing a role. Not saying that we're making a bet based on the weather, but I have my eyes on a couple of games. You already mentioned that Steelers-Ravens game. That totals 43.5. These games, these two teams, this AFC North slobber knocker football, 43.5 is to me about 5 points too high. I see this. If it had been 38.5, I still might have played the under on that one. And then I think that Chiefs Texans, both of those teams are under teams all by themselves. I think they're number 1 and 2 in the NFL to the under, at least in the top 5, both teams. That total 42.5. I think both of those teams, again, methodical football, long drives. It's the way the Chiefs play at home in general. And with that offensive line beat up, they're not looking for explosive. They need to figure out a way to control the ball against that Houston defense. I love the under there, 42.5 in Chiefs Texans.
Couple of gross totals. I like it, boys. For me, it's the Cincinnati Bengals getting 6 against the Buffalo Bills. I look at Cincinnati and what they were able to do Thursday in Baltimore. I think that's sustainable for the rest of the year. I think Joe Burrow coming back gives that team instant credibility. I think it gives them instant energy. You saw a revitalized Jamar Chase. I think you will get T. Higgins back into the fold. And Joe Burrow historically has had some pretty darn good games matching up with the great Josh Allen. You throw in the sense of desperation that, to me, is that much more apparent for a team like Cincinnati in this spot. Give me the 6. I think this is a classic game. I think it's a field goal game, and I see value with the Cincinnati Bengals. When we come back, East Coast Bias boys, right here on the Ringer Gambling Show, we welcome in the 4th member of our team, 3 and out, Anthony Dabbundo. What's he got for us? We'll be back. It is East Coast Bias right here on the Ringer Gambling Show. Now the 4 box is complete. No, I don't have the 4 matchups that we're going to have coming up at 1 o'clock. It's John Jastremski, Raheem Palmer, Joe House, and we are joined for a weekly 3 and out with our main man, Anthony Dabbundo. Dabbundo, the Colt jacket is in the closet. The Seahawk hat is on. Good morning, buddy boy. What's happening?
Honestly, I misplaced the cheese head. I had it in somewhere in my apartment, and I can't seem to find it. It might be in my car. I thought about wearing that because this is really my Super Bowl coming up this week, and I'm very excited for it. If you've listened to this show or anything I've done, you know I've been a bit of a Bears skeptic and a bit of a Packers, dare I say, homer. And so now we get to this moment, this mano-a-mano matchup this weekend in Week 14 with the division first place on the line. So I'm excited to be here, excited that the Hawks got another win, disappointed for my Colts. But, the beauty, and I was saying this to Joe House, the beauty of having so many teams, you just cycle through them,
Yeah, you're never out of it. Must be nice. You're never out of it. You're never out of it. Before we get to 3 and out, AD, and I think the cheesehead, by the way, might be in my apartment in Brooklyn because I had them for a significant amount on Thursday that made my Thanksgiving quite happy, quite pleasant, quite enjoyable, and the boys were all over the Packers in that game. Joe House, I just got to say, because Dabbundo was wearing the Seahawk hat. And if you didn't watch the Ringer Sunday pregame, shame on you. But if you did, you're well aware of the fact that Joe House's wisest wager was Seattle in the first half laying 6.5, I believe. And the pick six that you had, courtesy of the Seattle defense, that's got to be one of the great gambling wins that we've had for any of us throughout the course of this year. So congratulations for that. Just saying.
I do want to acknowledge I got down on my knees and sang the praises of the gambling gods. I did have as the handicap the idea that Seattle might have a short field opportunity to score because Mr. Brosmer was going to be under pressure, under duress, and not really familiar with NFL speed. So that was part of why I thought the idea of Seattle by a touchdown at the first half was a good wager. But man, oh man, it was very dramatic. And I will tell you, I was a little nervous because the Seattle offense in that first half was not exactly going gangbusters. Sam Darnold had that look on his face that I don't like. The one like, his eyes are a little big. He's a tiny bit confused. And, some of the concern was Flores dialing up some blitz against my guy Darnold. He did a pretty good job, but hey, that's a Seattle defense. We got it home, baby. 9-4 wisest wager. If you like money, please listen to the Sunday pregame show, 11-1 on wherever we get published. I don't know, everywhere.
Well, it's YouTube and all of the affiliates that are watching us right now doing East Coast Bias. There you go, House.
Considerably better than our 107 is going this year. Let's just say that.
And you know what, AD? It is what it is. The 107 has just not been kind to any of us, so at least there is a semblance of consistency, which we do appreciate here. Now, during out time, is it Packer Bear related? Is it Colt related? Is it something that I have not mentioned? Point number one, we're ready for you. Fire away.
I don't think we've talked about this team so far, but the Pittsburgh Steelers season effectively ended yesterday, as far as I'm concerned. And it might seem reactionary, but we've now reached a point where, they show Aaron Rodgers on the sideline and he's beaten and broken. He's got the cut across his nose. He's got the broken wrist that he's playing through. This offense is not explosive. He completed 10 passes yesterday. And really, that's not even my biggest concern for them. We've reached the point in the season. This is supposed to be the game. Pittsburgh is trying to hold on to first place. They're at home. They're off a loss. Mike Tomlin in these spots historically has been awesome. Not yesterday. Buffalo ran all over them over and over again. It got to the point where Tony Romo was almost mocking them in the broadcast, saying like, oh, he got to the edge again. He got to the edge again. Oh, that time Joey Porter got him. And they finished the game with 249 rushing yards, despite not having either of their starting tackles. And it's just a Pittsburgh team that started the season 4-1. They had a couple of games in that stretch where you're like, well, they had a lot of turnovers and they won these games, but do we think it's sustainable? It didn't feel that way then, and it doesn't feel that way now. They have a schedule where they're 6-6. They're going to play at Detroit and at Baltimore 2 of the next 3 weeks. I don't see them getting to 9. Maybe they get to 9, but I don't think 9's enough. So now we're at a point where you have to start really asking questions of what does this mean for Mike Tomlin? Is Mike Tomlin the coach? Like, what odds would you give Mike Tomlin of being the Steelers coach in 2026?
Yeah, it's such a great question, AD. For years, the Steelers would preach patience. If you watched that game on Sunday and everything you detailed is completely spot on, the Steelers looked absolutely broken as a franchise. And that fan base, that's as loyal as any fan base in the NFL. Raheem, House, you know what they were chanting in the fourth quarter of that game? Fire Tomlin. Think about that for a minute. Fire Tomlin. And look, Mike Tomlin's had an exemplary run as Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. But I think it is obvious that program has gotten stale. That program is beyond repair. And I'm with AD on this. Raheem, I think the Steelers are cooked. To me, Cincinnati has a lot more life to go and steal this AFC North from Baltimore. I do not see it from the Steelers. They don't have it on offense. The quarterback is a zillion years old. The weapons are not on the same page. And the dirty little secret is the once vaunted Steeler defense stinks. Everybody runs all over them. I'm out on the Steelers. I'm with AD. I think they're cooked.
Ooh. I want to get there, but a lot of times these are the moments where we've said this in the past. We've said, oh, the Steelers are cooked, and then they pull out that rah-rah Mike Tomlin spot, and they shock everybody. So this week is, to me, this is the most important week. You're playing the Baltimore Ravens. You're 6.5-point dogs. I want to see how they perform this week, because this week obviously is a divisional opponent. It's much more important than what we saw from Buffalo yesterday. So I'm not totally willing to count them out yet.
All right, fair enough. Joe House, from a wagering perspective, I hate this game to the absolute high heavens on Sunday because I was so disenchanted by what I saw from Baltimore against the Bengals. And then the Steelers basically said against Buffalo, down to starting tackles, hold my beer. We're going to stink it up just as bad, if not worse, than you did. Either laying margin with the Ravens or getting behind this Steeler wagon. No, thank you. Hard pass for me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bet it either. But if you do believe in Tomlin doing what he's done the previous, 18 years, you can go on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now and bet over 8.5 wins for the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 165. So this is, what they've done. They would be it would probably be, to my way of thinking, in a tiebreaker mode with Baltimore for the division. I think Baltimore is going to ultimately win the division, but plus 165 for the Steelers to get over 8.5 wins if you just want to torture your Steeler friends.
I have over 8.5
the streak
for the
could be
season.
over.
I'm not doubling the meat on that. I think my bet is cooked, AD, because I
You
bet
have
him
the- you have the
over, and I
over?
was pretty confident
I
at
remember
the
some
beginning of the
victory
year.
laps. Week 5, 4-1.
Well, not only that, I was proclaiming Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers were going to win a playoff game. Now they're not even going to make the postseason. So, it is what it is. Got that one wrong.
I mean, all the like we said, if they go 9-8 and lose in the first round of the playoffs, but it was like a very bumpy road to get there. You don't really know what the plan is at quarterback. I still don't know if that quenches the thirst of this fan base. Like, I think that we as a national media give the Steelers credit because we see that Tomlin has kind of patched this together with pretty mediocre quarterback play for the better part of the 2020s. But the local fan base doesn't feel the same way. They feel very stuck and stagnant, and they feel that the same mistakes, the same issues with the team are happening year after year. So at what point does it become kind of just running the same thing back over and over again and not getting anything different out of it? I don't know.
Totally agree. And that's why I won't be surprised if you hear at the end of the season, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers mutually decide to part ways. And who knows, Joe House, maybe Mike Tomlin finds his home in the NFC East with the ties between the Mara family and the Rooney family. And the Giants are looking for a leader and they're looking for a head coach. Mike Tomlin is Giant head coach. Hey, if I understand the concerns in Pittsburgh. I think what AD is hitting on as far as the folks there being just fed up because it's same old is justifiable. That said, House, if the Giants can hire Mike Tomlin, they'll hire him in 5 minutes. Guaranteed.
No argument. And the only thing that I'll put out there is they haven't had a quarterback since Big Ben. Last time I checked, Mike Tomlin's not the general manager of that team. They have been, for whatever reason, satisfied to put hot trash on the one time they tried to draft a quarterback. They overreached. They took a kid that can't play in the NFL in the first round. I mean, I'm not sure what they think. Have they been watching the modern NFL the last 10 years? You need a goddamn quarterback. And this last gasp effort with Rodgers the bum ain't getting it done. You got to have a quarterback in the modern NFL. Say whatever you want about Tomlin. I'm not sure that front office is exactly covering itself in glory.
I mean, speaking of the front office, you see what George Pickens is doing in Dallas right now. You look at this Steelers team over the last 20, 30 years, they've always had some of the best wide receivers in the league. I mean, you go back to Hines Ward, you go back to Antonio Brown when he was in his prime, and George Pickens was he was the one following that up, and then they trade him, and he's having the best season of his career. So it's pretty clear that it's not just Tomlin who's the problem, it's the front office in general.
Bad look for the Steelers. All right, AD, 1 down, 2 to go. Take 2.
We've seen a dramatic shift in offensive player of the year markets in the last couple of weeks. Jonathan Taylor was out to minus 400. Jackson Smith and Jigba was, right around 3-1. It's kind of become a two-way market here. Funny enough, George Pickens is currently the 4th favorite. I don't think that's going to happen, but I wanted to get your guys' opinion on kind of the rest of the season for these two teams, because I think they're both in very interesting places, but yet the Colts and the Seahawks, and not just because I'm a Colts fan and wearing a Seahawks hat, but I think how you look at that market is a good way to look at the two teams, because Indianapolis started the year hot. We've seen them play much tougher schedule down the stretch here, better defenses that are taking away the run. And really, the one underrated thing that isn't discussed enough, the Colts are actually not a run-heavy team and have never been a run-heavy team because they like to pass to set up the run. And when they're not ahead by a lot in the second half, which they haven't been recently, the result has been less JT explosiveness, less JT. On the other side, we've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who wasn't really a factor yesterday. You're concerned about Sam Darnold, and House made the comment about him looking a little maybe frightened at moments of the last couple of weeks in these games against the Rams and the Vikings. If you had to pick one, who would you pick to bet right now at -110?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Smith and Jigba. It's easy.
Easy
actually,
for you. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of mad that Anthony brought this up because I was looking at the awards market in general, and I think this is a good time. Like, I actually have a parlay that I want to put in because you look at Matthew Stafford. Obviously, the Rams lose yesterday, and now Matthew Stafford is down to -110 to win the MVP award, and I still think he's the front runner by far. I think this line is too low. So I actually wanted to parlay Matthew Stafford at -110 with Jackson Smith and Jigba at -115, and then also parlay that with Dak Prescott. That pays 460 to 1. I think, to answer AD's question, I think the Colts are slipping. I think Daniel Jones is a little banged up. Like he said, they have to pass to set up the run. And if the Colts aren't going to be playing from in front, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to get the numbers that he got earlier this season. So I want to parlay those three: Stafford and Jigba, Dak Prescott, comeback player of the year that plays 460 to 1.
So I love the juicy parlay. I agree with your assessment about Seattle and your confidence there with them and the hesitation as far as the Colts go. AD, that said, with all of the problems of the Colts, I feel like if Jonathan Taylor wills them to the postseason, which is a very distinct possibility because if the Colts are going to make the postseason, Jonathan Taylor is going to have to be great in these next couple of games. I still would put my money on him. It's a slight hedge. I don't feel great about the position. I still think, end of the day, House, gut feel, Jonathan Taylor's offensive player of the year. That's my gut.
I don't know, man. If that Colts end up on the outside looking in with this playoff run, which I still think is a good bet, I honestly am interested. I'm going to play Dreams Parlay because I do think that this is as good a price as you're going to get on Matthew Stafford to win MVP. And I just don't think any of the other guys, in that conversation. I think there's a possibility of a New England little bit of hitting some headwinds here. And for that reason, I will tell you, I am putting down a tiny bit on James Cook to win Offensive Player of the Year, just based on the theory that if Buffalo catches the Patriots and wins this division, then we're going to see so much James Cook over this last month that his numbers are just it's going to be the thing that's staring us in the face, and it'll be all the Josh Allen, but this James Cook 75 to 1 has my attention.
Whoa, 75 to 1 a take, House. I love it. AD, your gut right now. Offensive player of the year.
Probably lean in Jigba. However, the Pickens case is interesting because
go ahead.
He's only 200 yards behind him. He has more touchdowns than Smith and Jigba right now. And there is a world where if you really like Dak and you really like this Dallas improved defense and you think maybe Dallas can make a run at the division because the Eagles are a little bit flawed, like, is 75 to 1 on Pickens the craziest thing you've ever heard? Because they're going to be in primetime a bunch.
They
down
are.
The stretch, including this Thursday, where he has a pretty favorable matchup with Detroit. You'd like their opportunity to make a run at this. Like, I think one thing in the futures market that we all underrate and underdiscuss is just how much time is left in the season. Like, there is still 5 games left.
Yeah.
For all these teams. There's going to be opportunities for so much to change, especially because recency bias affects us all. And so I think Pickens, even at 75 to 1, is an interesting play. And it gets to the point of, I'm not really sure how much I think that what the Seahawks and the Colts have done offensively is sustainable, especially since Seattle is going to play some tougher games down the stretch here. Of course, the Colts are as well. So my point, and the reason I came in saying this was, what about Pickens at 75 to 1? Same odds as James Cook. Similar thing where we have 2 teams that we think are trending up toward the end of the year, and maybe 2 teams in Seattle and Indy, at least offensively, that are trending down.
Juicy. The problem is you're staring CeeDee Lamb also in the face. So
Sure.
if all of a sudden you see a split as far as who Dak Prescott is throwing the football to, it could kind of silence that Pickens narrative. That'd be my only pushback, but it's 75-1. It's a juicy, juicy number. All right, AD, 2 down, 1 to go. What do we got?
Well, I have to put my money where my mouth is, right, with the Chicago thing. And the comment we had all year was that we have not seen the Bears beat a really good team at any point. And my hot take is that after Friday, we still have not seen the Chicago Bears beat a really good team in 2025. They have a chance to do that on Friday, on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. If they win, I will admit that I was totally wrong and that I was an idiot and a fool for ever doubting the Chicago Bears, for Caleb Williams and for Ben Johnson and this defense and whatnot. But this is the game where Green Bay finally gets right and gets their rightful place atop the NFC North. They're going to win. Do I want to lay the 6? I don't know. That's the real question. The problem with being gamblers here, we have to play the market. So
AD, I gotta push back on that. So who's the really good team that the Packers have beaten?
it's a good point.
Because if you ask me,
we were going nuts about that Steeler win. I wouldn't be going nuts about that one anymore.
Nope.
If you ask me, the Bears have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
And that's a better win than any team that.
Then Detroit, it's a better win than Detroit.
Detroit
I
twice
agree.
would be the case, right? Yeah.
That said, I like the Packers. I'm right there with you, AD. All right, best bets before we say goodbye. Joe House, floor is yours. Let's go.
Going to the association, 2 teams in decent position rest-wise, like the Detroit Pistons at home tonight. This is a money line parlay that's available on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now. It is paying minus 109. Yeah, the Pistons at home against the Hawks. The Hawks went to overtime last night. And then the Charlotte Hornets are visiting the Brooklyn Nets. This Charlotte Hornets team just got healthy. Don't sleep on them. Hornets over the Nets, parlayed with the Detroit Pistons over the Hawks.
Raheem, quickly, best bet.
Go Giants plus 7.5 and Giants on the money line plus 300.
I love the frisky nature of the money line play. My best bet for Monday, the New York Giants plus the 7 and a hook. I gave you the 2 anytimes. Hunter Henry for the Patriots, Jackson Dart for the Giants, and then our look ahead for Sunday, the Cincinnati Bengals and Mr. Joe Burrow alive and kicking. We're taking them plus the 6. That's going to do it for this loaded Monday East Coast bias. For Anthony Dabbundo, Raheem Palmer, Joe House, and John Jastremski, we are signing off. The boys will be with you throughout the course of the week. You want to stay with us right here on the Ringer Gambling feed. Can't wait for these games this week. Can't get here soon enough. We out. Be good, everybody.
Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. You must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York